Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today we're looking at an article about Bigfoot, except it's more than just one story, folks. It's several, all taking place around, Gettysburg of all places, folks, and it's very interesting. Let's get into this article titled, Hairy Hominids and Bigfoot Sightings in or Near Gettysburg, A Century of Encounters in Adams County, Pennsylvania. Let's read exactly what people witnessed, folks. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania is widely known for its Civil War history and persistent ghost lore. Yet, for more than a century, another mystery has quietly surfaced in and around Adams County. From a 1921 newspaper account of a guerrilla attacking a resident to modern reports along Rock Creek and the fringes of Michoud State Forest, witnesses continue to describe large, dark, hair-covered humanoids moving through the same hills and hollows. What is unfolding around Gettysburg is not a single isolated event, but a layered pattern stretching across generations. Let's get into it now, folks, with the first story. The 1921 Guerrilla of Gettysburg. On August 12, 1921, the Tenton Evening Times ran a striking headliner, Big Gorilla Attacks Gettysburg Resident. According to the article, a creature approximately 4 feet tall was seen moving along a fence behind a home on York Street when a neighbor fired a shotgun. The animal dropped to the ground, only to leap back up and chase the man into the house before disappearing toward Biglerville and the mountainous terrain beyond. The report noted that the gorilla had previously terrorized northern Adams County months earlier and was believed to have retreated into the mountains. Context matters here. In 1921, the term Bigfoot was not in use. Rural residents frequently described unknown hairy bipeds as wild men or gorillas. The behavior, upright movement, pursuit of a human, retreat into a mountainous forest is consistent with the later Sasquatch narratives. Indeed, folks, especially with the way this creature dropped to the ground and then got up immediately. Because in a lot of accounts, Bigfoot seems to have been basically mostly unharmed by bullets. Not that we're saying that he's a spirit or anything, but that perhaps this man missed hitting this animal and then was angered and then chased them into his home. That is consistent with the way Bigfoot has basically been described with various other accounts through the decades, folks. So indeed, I do agree with this particular story here that was reported back from 1921. It sounds like basically this man encountered Bigfoot, especially with the way he described it as a gorilla. But let's continue, folks, because there are far more stories in this article that we have to get through. The next story, or stories, is Beffer reports in Adams County. Adams County sightings have been cataloged by the Bigfoot Field Research Organization for decades. Notable entries include July 1961, Class A possible encounter between a juvenile creature and a human child near Gettysburg. June 1992 or 1993, Class B, heavy footsteps on a porch, large shadow passing a window. June 1997, Class B, extremely powerful howl heard near a residence. October 1997, Class A, bow hunter reports multiple large creatures chasing deer. January 1998, Class A motorists observe a creature at night on Route 116 between Gettysburg and Fairfield. These reports cluster along wooded corridors that connect the Gettysburg battlefield region to Michoud State Forest and south toward the Maryland line. So these reports do line up, and they have been basically observed in this area for decades. Then we have the Michoud State Forest Highway crossing. One of the more detailed modern accounts involved a motorist traveling westbound on US 30 near Route 234, roughly 10 miles west of Gettysburg along the eastern edge of Michoud State Forest. At approximately 8:30 p.m., the witness observed a large, dark-haired humanoid dart onto the 4-lane highway about 40 yards ahead. The creature crossed from north to south in 8 to 10 long strides covering the entire width of the road. Noteworthy details: height described as tall and imposing, dark body hair, lighter colored face, distinctively long face and chin, carrying an object under its left arm. What was this object, folks? Could it have been maybe a younger Bigfoot, perhaps? I don't know. Most accounts mention them carrying nothing, folks. So if it was carrying anything, perhaps it was a younger one. Either way, let's continue. The stride length alone suggests an extraordinary gait covering 4 lanes in under 10 strides, indicates substantial leg length and power. This location sits within a heavily forested travel corridor linking Adams and Franklin counties, consistent with wildlife movement patterns and previous reports. Indeed, folks, this would be the area where such large life forms like basically Bigfoot would probably basically live, because it's in the right area where you would have migration and other such things consistent with basically life or basically creatures and animals like it, folks. So, were we or should I say the people who witnessed it, actually seen basically a migrating Bigfoot? I don't know. But let's read on, folks, to the next story. The Rock Creek property encounter. A woman living south of Gettysburg along Route 15 reported repeated activity on her property. In May 2001, key elements. A 6-foot-tall black figure was seen near her garage at 11:30 p.m., overpowering rotten fish and garbage odor emanating from a blue spruce tree. Broken twigs snapped approximately 9 feet above ground in a circular pattern, crushed shrubbery beneath bedroom windows, repeated heavy nocturnal sounds on the porch and property. The strong, foul odor, often described as rotten fish or garbage, is a recurring element in Sasquatch literature across North America. The snapped twigs at elevated height are particularly sufficient. Deliberate breakage patterns have been documented in other Pennsylvania reports, including tree twisting and branch structuring. After a period of activity, disturbances ceased. So, almost like basically poltergeist, folks, but not quite, because basically for a period, people were experiencing it on this farm, and then it just stopped. But unlike poltergeist reports, folks, people actually saw a physical creature here. So I'm thinking it probably just migrated away, and that's why it just stopped. Either way, let's read the next story. Battlefield and surrounding reports. Over the years, there have been quiet mentions of sightings on or near the Gettysburg battlefield itself, though the region is more commonly associated with apparitional phenomena. Wooded ravines and creek corridors provide suitable cover. Additionally, reports east of Gettysburg concerning the Conwaga phantom suggest a broader spectrum of unexplained activity in Adams County. So, even though Gettysburg is associated with ghosts, folks, and it, in some mentions, folks, it's a very dour place. People mention that basically there's a more fantastic creature on the land, like Bigfoot, perhaps. I can't believe it, folks, though I think Bigfoot would probably want to avoid ghosts, but then again, maybe I'm not quite sure about that either, folks. Maybe he's drawn to it. But let's read the next part of the article, folks. 2005 Befro expedition to Caledonia and Michoud. In November 2005, investigators from the Bigfoot Field Research Organization conducted fieldwork in Caledonia State Park and the surrounding Michoud terrain. Founder Matt Moneymaker cited the number and quality of reports in Adams and Franklin counties as jurisdiction for the expedition. Investigators employed thermal imagers. They also had night vision scopes. They also used audio playback of recorded vocalizations. And also, they had coordinated call responses. These sound like the kind of things you could use to gather real data on Bigfoot. But let's read on, folks. Although no definitive encounters occurred during that outing, experienced researchers reported prior encounters with powerful howls that shook windows and elicited profound physiological reactions. Well, that's kind of odd, folks. You think it would basically be psychological reactions, but I would imagine that it is possible that hearing a howl could basically, make someone sick, folks. Perhaps basically from fear. But then again, the emotional and psychological impact, I think, would basically be far stronger than anything else, folks. But yeah, I would imagine that basically you would have, some physiological reactions to basically encountering cryptids like Bigfoot, folks. So, the fact that, Moneymaker said that his crew basically had a physical reaction to basically hearing, these entities out there, folks, I'm not surprised. But still, I can imagine just how fearful such an encounter, just from hearing the sounds that these entities, these Bigfoot can make, folks, is frightening. Actually, encountering one is probably grounds for basically being, institutionalized, because it would probably leave you with PTSD, folks. But then again, people who have encountered Bigfoot have basically had varying reactions to it, from fear to just fascination. So I'm not surprised that basically we would basically have reports of basically physiological effects from basically encountering a real cryptid entity that could be supernatural like Bigfoot, folks. That's all I really have to say. Now, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions of the chat to go subscribe me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure to hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.